Number 1. I'm just gonna get to the point. This happened late last night and I'm still freaked out. I'm a female and 23 for context. I had to work late yesterday, and that meant my pup had to wait that much longer in his kennel. So when I got home, I decided to take him on a walk, even though it was pretty dark. I live in the US and the temp last night was around 35 degrees. I bundled up accordingly, locked up behind me, and headed out. My dog is a 90-pound boxer rot mix, and he looks intimidating, but he's really a gentle giant, which makes what happened even creepier. Just to help you get a visual, when you walk down my driveway, you can either go left, which will take you to a busy road after passing 8 or so houses, or you can go to the right, which takes you to a park and a well-known river a mile down. There is also an outlet 15 or some yards to the left before the busy road. It's basically a community of houses with no through road. That's the way I usually take my dog, and that's the way I chose to go last night. There is also one dim streetlight at the start of the outlet road. This is important later. On each side of that outlet road, there are 2 sections of trees and bushes. It's pretty dense. We started walking down the outlet road. All of a sudden, my dog stopped cold. A growl came out of him, and it scared me honestly. I had never heard him make that type of noise before. It's like it came deep from his belly. He was staring intensely into the trees on our right side. I looked but didn't see anything. I thought maybe he saw an animal, as there are stray cats from time to time. But my dog wouldn't budge, and I felt super scared all of a sudden. It was weird. I can't explain it. All of a sudden, it dawned on me that I left my pocket knife and pepper spray back in my locked house. I had no weapon except my dog. All of his hair was standing up on his back, and seeing him like that made me uncomfortable and anxious. That wasn't his style. I just wanted to get back home. I pulled the leash and kinda yell-whispered his name, and he finally broke his stance and started walking. He kept looking behind us and wanting to stop. I don't think I've ever walked so fast in my life. I was about 1 house away from my own when I looked back at that outlet road. Just to the left of the streetlight, so he was slightly in the road, I saw a man with a black t-shirt on, black jeans, and a black ski mask type thing. I also noticed there was something in his hand. It looked long, but I couldn't make out what it was. I fucking ran, literally dragging my 90-pound dog behind me because he still kept wanting to stop. I probably choked out the poor fella at some point. Just like in the movies, I ironically fumbled with my house key for a solid 6 seconds before opening it, slamming it, and putting my house on lockdown, blinds and all. It was weird because it was cold out, and he wasn't wearing a jacket, so he must have been freezing. I have no idea what he was doing out like that. Now our neighborhood has a Facebook website where each house can sign up and post things. Like if you have lost a pet, selling something, want to inform on any changes, etc. And you bet your ass I posted on there about the incident. I told people to keep a watch out. I also called the police after I got back to my house. Dispatch sent an officer and I talked to the cop, gave her my description of the happening and the man. She said that she will personally patrol the area herself for the next week or so. And then she gave me the whole spiel on not walking at night, and if I do, not to do it alone, and to always bring pepper spray. But I told her not to worry, because I'll never walk alone with my dog at night again. This shit has me on edge. I would have had no idea that the man was even in the vicinity if it wasn't for my pup. Number 2. During my freshman and sophomore years of college, I was extremely awkward. I had just come out as gay, I didn't have any friends, and I was just generally kind of a big wad of social anxiety. Given that I didn't even have the social skills to make a few friends, it's not surprising that I also had literally no dating experience. Miraculously, over the course of the summer after sophomore year, I just sort of grew out of the worst of my awkwardness. I lost some weight, had a lot more confidence in myself, and my self-esteem was a lot higher. I came back to school in August, and by October I had a decent number of genuine friends, and had gotten a lot more involved on campus. With my newfound confidence, I decided I'd finally download Grindr and see what it was like. For anyone who doesn't know, Grindr is a gay dating app that is primarily used for finding sex and hookups. Despite my recent improvement in the social area, I was still extremely naive and inexperienced when it came to dating and sex. I set up my Grindr profile with a nice picture of myself and a very brief bio, and I got a lot of messages very quickly after my picture was approved. One guy who messaged me had a display name of Daddy for Young, which should have been my first red flag, but I was oblivious. I should note that I look really young for my age. At the time I was 21, but I was often asked by my campus staff which middle or high school I was visiting from. I'm 23 now, and I still get asked if I want a kids menu if I go to a restaurant with my parents. It's bad. So Dad for Young sends me a message that just says, "What's up?" and I reply without looking at his profile first. I then look at his profile and notice that he's 54. His only profile text says, "The younger the better," and his only picture was a zoomed in blurry picture of a hairy chest. So I was very much not interested. But given my inexperience, I thought ignoring him would be horribly rude, so I kept responding. I don't completely remember what we talked about in the maybe 10 or so messages we exchanged at first, but I do remember him saying I was very cute. I know I told him I was a student, but I never mentioned which college I went to. It's important to note that I went to a college in a major city, and there's a bunch of different colleges all within like 5 miles of each other, and a few more within 10 miles of those. Sort of like Tinder, Grindr works based off your location, but much more precisely. If you're less than a mile or two away from someone who is online, it will display the distance in feet. I noticed that Dad for Young's profile said that he was 25 miles away, which I thought was kind of far. Dad for Young started getting more sexual in his chats, and asked if I wanted to meet up. I felt bad flat out denying him since he'd been polite, so I told him I didn't want to meet up with him that day, but that we could keep chatting if he wanted. I figured that was that, and when I checked 20 minutes later, it said he was offline. Nope. About 30 minutes after that, I get another message from him. "Hey, I got a wild hair and thought I'd take a drive out to your college." I had not told him the name of my college, nor had I told him what part of town I was in. I looked at his profile, and it now said he was 3 miles away. I started freaking out a little, and didn't reply to his messages in hopes that he'd just leave me alone. It's important to note that my college had a couple different campus chunks separated by a few miles. I lived on the upperclassmen residential campus, which was about 2 miles from the main campus where all the other student dorms and main buildings are. I felt like if he was going to try to find me, he'd go to the main campus first, then maybe give up since not many outside people know about the separate residential campus. 5 or 6 minutes later, I get another message that says something like, "No fun if you don't play along. What building on the campus are you in?" His profile now says he's a little over 2,500 feet away, and every time I reopen his profile, the distance would decrease. I was fully losing my shit at this point, since this guy had the ability to pinpoint my location. So I shut my blinds, turned off my light, and locked my window, the door to the apartment, and my bedroom door. My roommate was also out of town on some kind of retreat, so it was just me. He kept sending me messages every minute or so, saying things like, "I'm gonna find you," or "Here I come," and other supremely creepy shit like that. The distance was down to 310 feet, and I was completely losing my mind and didn't know what to do. So I just deleted my whole profile. Nothing else happened that night, though I was absolutely terrified he was going to come knocking on my door. Fast forward to 3 days later. I decided to re-download Grindr after doing more research and seeing that I can adjust the settings so that my exact location is not visible. When I logged on for the first time with my remade profile, I adjusted some of the search filters until the results were specific enough to display Dad for Young's profile, which I promptly blocked. Later that evening, I get a message from someone with the username "We'll Find You," with the same gross profile picture as Dad for Young, and my stomach sinks. He sent a flurry of messages like, "You fucked up. I almost got the police called on me because of you. And I couldn't find you, so I had to go to other dorms and find someone else. Said I was outside his dorm and told me to leave and he'd call the cops. I'm coming for that sweet virgin asshole." Freaked out, blocked him again, deleted my profile again, then deleted Grindr. I refused to re-download it or any other dating apps for about a year after that, at which point I worked up the courage to try again, and have not heard from this nutjob since, thank God. So, terrifying old man with a fetish for young, inexperienced guys, please, let's not ever meet. Number 3. My name is Heather, and I've always been followed by evil things that lurk in the shadows. I guess some might call them demons. My story begins in a motel room, and it escalates over a month. My ex-girlfriend, obviously panicked, says it's better to ignore the things you can't see. Well, who am I to take any advice seriously? The words fly out of my mouth in the firmest tone I can summon. You're not real. We are. You can't hurt us. I immediately regretted those words. My ex-girlfriend is now crumpled in a ball on the bed, tears running down her face, screaming. I run over trying to unfold her body from the position that it's in, but I can't. And with every tear that falls from her eyes, I'm panicking. I'm pacing. How do you fight something you can't see? Anxiety grips my body, and in that helplessness and fear, I feel my eyes rolling into the back of my head. But then, I wake up. I somehow lost consciousness and my ex is now sitting up perfectly okay like nothing happened. The night ends with a bunch of confusion. Fast forward 3 weeks, when my friend Nelson comes over and we're trying to unwind. My ex has been awfully quiet this entire time while we were passing around the vodka. And then she opens her mouth, only to tell me that she's been hiding the fact that she's cheated on me twice. In my outrage and sorrow, I drink and drink and drink, completely forgetting to pass the vodka. And then I pass out. But that doesn't last long. I can hear the echoes of voices, my ex-girlfriends and my friends. They're telling me to wake up, but I can't open my eyes. I can't move. I feel something heavy on top of me, suffocating me. I'm fighting for control of my body, almost like something is trying to slither inside me. I manage to open my eyes after a few minutes, but they're still dancing around my skull. Once they're focused, I see that my friend is holding my head up. His words seem frustrating and unpleasant. I want him to stop touching me as he screams, "Fight it, Heather. Fucking fight back." But no, my head is jerking away from his hands and I'm fighting for control of my eyes. All I hear is this menacing laughing and growling, so intense that I wish my legs worked so I could run. All I want to do is make it stop. I give up battling this unknown creature for control, only to realize just how strong this thing really is. It's hurting me, and I'm in a lot of pain. I can't describe the feeling, but imagine your soul being torn from your very body. It is so painful that I'm hyperventilating. Tears are streaming down my face and I can't speak. I can't scream. I can only lay there stiff as a board, crying as my insides feel like they're being torn apart. My friend is realizing that I held up a white flag. I surrendered. My ex-girlfriend is crying and helping him pick me up off the bed as it all fades to black. And then suddenly I'm awake again. Over the next few days, I feel paranoid and so on edge. At night, my legs burn and I can't sleep. When I do sleep, I wake up and I'm choking. I can't breathe and these nightmares won't stop. Eventually, I stop turning off the lights. Eventually, I stop sleeping. Eventually, I stopped leaving the house. My ex and I broke up, and everything ceased to exist. But I refuse to turn off the lights to this day. Thank you for listening. Remember, if you like this video, to leave a thumbs up and also subscribe for future content. Before I end this video, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of explain why I haven't posted any videos in the last 3 months. My laptop had crashed on me again for about the 4th time this year, and it took a while for them to get it back to me this time. So I just didn't have my computer to be able to record any stories and put them into a decent quality video. I am sorry for any disappointment that may have caused, and now that it's back, I do expect to be posting a lot more in the near future. But until next time though, keep your lights on. You never know what's hiding in the dark.